Hey everyone, so today I will be talking about Chapter 7 and 8 of Scaffolding Language, Scaffolding Learning by Pauline Gibbons. Okay, so Chapter 7 is called Listening, an Active and Thinking Process. So as you can tell from the title, Chapter 7 is all about listening skills. So listening skills are just as important as oral reading and writing skills, and the process of listening involves comprehension and active construction of meaning. And listening occurs in four types of contexts. There's one-way listening, which would be like listening to a podcast or anything where a listener is only listening and they're not required to respond. Two-way listening, which would be more like a casual conversation where a listener and the speaker is kind of taking turns listening and speaking, responding to each other. There's interpersonal topics, which would be like a daily conversation with your friend, maybe about how your weekend went or what your plans are for the day. And then there's information-based topics, which would be found more commonly in a classroom if you're learning about a subject like history or science, so on and so forth. All right, moving on to focusing on the sounds of English. So remember that we talked about in an earlier chapter that a phoneme is a sound that makes a difference to the meaning of a word. And pronunciation may not be an issue for very long for young English learners, since they do tend to catch on a little bit more quickly in terms of the pronunciation of words. However, EL students may have a difficult time mastering the stress system of English, which are the different stress that we put on syllables in English that not a lot of many other languages do. So this may be something that your English learners might struggle with when learning English. So activities focusing on phonemic awareness and pronunciations can be found in the book, pages 200 through 203. And then also keep in mind that teachers must model good listening skills in order to teach our students to be good listeners. All right, now moving on to Chapter 8, which is developing an integrated curriculum. So there are some controversies about this. There are a lot of programs in schools still where the EL students are sheltered from the mainstream classrooms. But this book usually is, for the most part, taking an approach that having EL students integrated into the mainstream classroom offers them the best opportunity to learn a new language because it provides the most authentic context for a focus on the language most relevant to subject learning. So keeping that in mind, we're going to go over quick steps or just a brief steps to developing an integrated curriculum. So first, we need to consider two sets of information when planning for an integrated curriculum or integrated program, which is what do the students currently know about language and what are their language learning needs, and then what are the language demands of the units of work or topic. So once we have figured that out, we're going to move on to the process of teaching and learning. So we're going to come up with activities that are based on those answers that we asked in the beginning. And these learning activities should reflect, again, on children's specific learning needs and on unpacking the topic for the language, which are the two things that we talked about. So after those activities have been implemented, the outcome of the planning process should be summarized and documented along with the subject outcomes. And finally, keep in mind that in an integrated unit, the students will learn language, learn through language, and finally learn about language.